and welcome back to the Think About It channel. If you follow this closely, it's been a minute. We haven't done one of these in like a few months. We had a little summer break, unintentional summer break, but it just sort of happened that way. Today, we've got a very special guest on our hand, Mr. Ethan Kauffman. Ethan's a senior at American University. He's majoring in film and media arts and is minoring in business and entertainment. He was credited as a producer, director, and cinematographer in Busy Beavers, which is a short documentary on the ecological impact of beavers in collaboration with the National Park Service. It's like Angry Beavers, but real life, I guess. Shout out to my 90s people out there. This past summer 2025, he interned with National Geographic in their Team Nature department, and he's currently working on producing his own short film called Paper Boats. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. It's a film focusing on exploring grief, healing, and the unexpected connections that guide us back to hope. I read the description of your film, Paper Boats, to my wife, and she said, it sounds like a tearjerker already. I just read her like the little intro part to it. She's like, it sounds like a tearjerker. I'm sure it's gonna be amazing, but I'm not sure I have the feels for it. You know?
Yeah.
It's gonna hit hard in the feels. So Ethan, what got you into film? And when did you know it was something you wanted to do seriously?
Yeah, so I have always been artistic. Did theater all throughout middle school, high school, a little bit of elementary school. But I wanted to keep doing things in the arts, but I wanted to find a different path. In high school, I took a film class and I kind of fell in love with it. I was able to make some short films, short documentaries, things like that. And then I just kind of decided it's what I wanted to go to school for. So I went to American University in DC because I wanted to make political documentaries. Got here and immediately decided that's not what I wanted to do anymore. It was just it was not for me. Documentaries are awesome and I loved working on so many throughout my time at AU, but going into politics was not the thing that I wanted to do. So yeah, and now I'm making a fiction short film for my senior thesis film, which I'm really excited about.
I imagine that making political documentaries right now is the nonfiction is probably just as crazy as fiction. The stuff that's going on in our world right now is just craziness.
Yeah, it's a crazy time.
So now that this is your senior, so now you've had all the study of film under your belt. Now that you have really seen sort of the ins and outs of making film and writing film and producing film,
yeah,
are there any films that you look back on differently now that you've studied media and film, that you see differently, now compared to when you were younger?
Yeah, well, I would just say honestly, every film that I watch, I watch through a different lens now because I've had to watch so many for class and I've had to analyze so many. There's a saying where at the 15-minute mark, you got that conflict that's gonna drag you through the rest of the film. And there was a film I was watching the other day, where it literally 15 minutes in, it was
Crazy.
oh, there's the conflict and we're going on. And it's just funny how film is not formulaic in any way. It's an art form, and it's really awesome how many different genres there are and things like that. But it is cool to see how there are certain things that people stick to that just keep it consistently amazing. So
I didn't even know that's a thing. The 15-minute, that's a thing. 15-minute rule.
yeah, it's around 15 minutes is what gets you into the story. It's when it's an hour and a half film.
I see. Listen, next time my son watching a movie, I'm gonna have the phone timer on, and if I'm gonna look for a conflict around that 15-minute mark.
There you go.
But that totally makes sense. It's just long enough to hook you in.
Exactly.
Are
there position to get right into it?
Are there any movies that are now ruined for you because you sort of seen behind the curtain?
No, I wouldn't say that. No, I honestly, I love looking at films. I can still enjoy every movie I watch without being oh well, at this specific mark is.
You're not that guy at the party?
No, I'm not that guy at the party. My friends used to joke when I was a freshman and sophomore, I was the film major who didn't watch films because I just never had time. So they were always oh, did you see this? Did you see that? And I had never seen it, but I've changed my ways and I watch a lot now. So.
Or the music major doesn't like music.
Exactly.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the actual production of film,
yeah,
what do you think what are some things that are really underrated or overlooked?
I would say, well, when it comes to filmmaking in general, especially low budget filmmaking, like what I'm doing,
Hmm.
the things that you need the most are going to be sound and lighting. And that's like one thing, you can have a movie that's shot on an iPhone, you can have a movie that's shot, on like a vintage camera, but if it doesn't sound good, you're not going to be engaged. It can look in this certain stylistic way and it could be as low budget as possible on that side, but if it doesn't sound good, you're not going to be engaged because you're going to be distracted by the sound quality. And then also lighting, like right now this is a bad example because I'm sitting in the dark in Zoom and like you can't see like because of the reflection in my glasses, but if it's bad lighting then you're also distracted by that as well. So that's like two things I've really learned, that like you always need good sound and good lighting, which is something that I'm taking with me into my film.
I'm gonna argue that's why I don't have more subscribers at this point in my life. Because I'm doing this in my basement on my laptop microphone, and I literally have a stand lamp next to me, and that's my lighting.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I'm sitting in front of my window that's, it's dark out and I have nothing behind me. So, there's not much going on here either. So,
But that does explain why you have all these TikTokers now have the ring lamp in front of them and stuff like it
exactly. Yeah,
makes
yeah, yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it draws you in, especially like the vibrant colors and
Mhm.
things like that. So,
So you were just talking about which you led perfectly into my next question. You talked about you can film a whole thing on your iPhone as long as you make sure the sound's good and the lighting's good.
yeah.
How important is equipment in filmmaking versus like your eye for and technique?
So, I think that, it's an interesting question because like one thing that you're always taught, at least like at AU, is like you need to know how to tell a good story, and that's most important, which is 100% true. But if you don't have every aspect of filmmaking is purposeful, like the lenses you use, the camera you use, the way you shoot it, if it's different there, there's different aspect ratios from like 16 by 9 like this, or like if you start cropping down more and more. So I would say like every part is important and equipment is important, but it's not the only thing. One of my professors was actually telling us the other day in class, he went to grad school and one of his friends made a $55,000 short film as his first short film. And it didn't get into a single film festival because it looked beautiful, but it didn't have a good story. And he wasted, I shouldn't say wasted because it was a learning opportunity, but he spent all that money making a film that went nowhere. You know what I mean? So it's equipment only takes you so far. You need to know how to tell a good story first.
Talk about some of the stuff you've now made specifically. Can you tell us a little bit about Busy Beavers?
Yeah, so last semester I worked for the National Park Service, and I was able to make a short documentary with two classmates, which was really awesome. It was like through a fellowship program, and it was really cool. We got to interview a bunch of scientists. We got to go out into the field to Manassas Battlefield State Park, which is about 45 minutes south of DC. And we were able to, you know, talk to just people in the park, sit out in nature, try to get beavers. And one time we were doing an interview with our park ranger, and someone like came and interrupted the interview, and I was like so frustrated because I was getting a good answer out of the park ranger. But then they were like, "Oh, what are you making?" And we're like, "Oh, a beaver documentary." They're like, "Oh my God, there's like two beavers swimming around right now in the pond." So we like stopped everything we were doing. We ran over there, filmed the beavers, got that like title shot that we needed of like the beaver like slapping its tail. But it was a really cool experience. It was cool to see, not only making a film like completely unscripted and completely like going in planning things but not knowing exactly what we were going to get, but it was also cool because I was the first time I was working for a client specifically that had specific expectations. Like the park service has certain guidelines about going on the website, and things like that, so it was a really cool learning experience to be able to see the world of more like corporate filmmaking.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier that like making a good movie is a huge part of it is storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people like don't necessarily think of a documentary as storytelling, but if we want to talk about like good documentary storytelling, like March of the Penguins is a great example of that. Like
I've
that
never seen that.
March of the Penguins, Morgan Freeman, oh my God,
My
that
goodness.
guy's voice.
Yeah.
Great documentary about like penguin migration and stuff, and it's done so well that you almost forget it's a documentary. So
Yeah.
my follow up to that is, like your work right now, Paper Boats is not a documentary.
Right.
You went to DC to do sort of like you said, political documentary work, right?
Yeah.
So how do how does your work on something like this with Busy Beavers that is purely informational
Yeah.
and not storytelling in its most essence sense, how does that relate to making a film like Paper Boats? How does that
Yeah.
stuff like roll over into each other?
Yeah, so I think well, it's all storytelling in one way or another, whether it's
Sure.
like telling an emotional story or telling an informational story. Um, and I would say like when it came to like Busy Beavers, like it was still getting a story out of the scientist and out of the park ranger, but it wasn't necessarily their story. It was the story of the beavers, the story of the park, things like that. The story of like fur trade in Manassas, because that was like a whole thing we highlighted in the film. So those storytelling elements kind of transfer through, and it's the way that you ask the questions. So like for instance, like when I'm talking to this park ranger and I'm doing my like interview with him, I had to ask him certain questions to get certain answers. You know,
Hmm.
things that I wanted to try to hit while also not guiding him to say certain things because it is
Hmm.
unscripted. And asking those questions is the same thing when it comes to fiction filmmaking. Like, what do I want to create? What story am I trying to tell? How am I going to tell it? It's just in a completely different way, where instead of me not being able to fully plan out the film, I have like control of every single aspect of the film. So it's an interesting thing because like, you know, I spent a lot of my time at AU making documentaries, but I really love fiction and that's something that I'm exploring right now. And it's so interesting because every decision I make leads to another one, and I haven't even touched a camera yet. You know what I mean? Like, whereas with documentary filmmaking, I think it's, from my experience, it's still a lot of pre-production planning, but it's more once you're actually like editing, where you're figuring out how to tell the exact story.
Hmm. So a lot of the same skills, just viewed through a different lens.
Exactly. There
Pun
you go.
intended. Pun
Yeah,
intended. We got dad jokes here.
there you go.
Um, can you tell us a little about your time at National Geographic?
Yeah, it was insanely awesome. So I worked there this summer. National Geographic has two different parts to it. They have like their nonprofit side, and then the side that's like the TV side that's actually owned by Disney. So I worked for Disney this summer, which was really awesome. Um, and yeah, I learned a lot. Got to work on a lot of TV shows as a production intern. So I got to learn a lot from the executive producers. Got to see productions from like top down approach. So like starting all the way with pre-production to productions in the field and editing and giving notes on edits and things like that. Um, so it was a really cool experience to just kind of see the whole like production process from start to finish, and work on like a bunch of projects with all the producers.
Very cool. All
Yeah.
right, so now on to your latest and arguably greatest
Okay.
piece of work. Give us a rundown on Paper Boats.
Yeah, so Paper Boats is a story about love, loss, and the need for connection. It's a story about a father named James. He's lost his young son Noah. Um, and every year, what they do on Noah's birthday is pass a paper boat down the river with a wish in it. And the reason that they do that is because they don't have any other money. They are, you know, they live in the forest. They're not near anything, so that's the way they celebrate his birthday every year. It's very like ritualistic. But Noah dies, and James continues to do this every year on his birthday. But on the first birthday since his death, James goes to pass this boat down the river, and a boy named Elliot is just exploring the forest when he sees James in this paper boat, and he picks it up. And this kind of sets James into a spiral because the ritual has been interrupted. And it's the whole story is a conflict between James and his inner self facing his grief while also trying to open himself up to, you know, exploring a connection with a new boy.
Very cool. It sounds very, and this is a short film, right?
Yeah,
So there's a lot to unpack there in just a short
10
amount
minutes.
of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be really interesting to see how you can cram all of that story and emotion into just how long are you planning it to be? Like 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah, it's gonna be 10 minutes long. So
So that's insane.
yeah, it's got some like, you know, it took a while to write it. So I've been working on this since March. I wrote it in a class where we were like developing short films, and I wrote it, and then I actually submitted it for a pitch competition at the Annapolis Film Festival in Annapolis, Maryland. I got selected, which was really awesome. So I was a finalist, got to go to the festival and pitch the idea. And I didn't win, but it was still an insanely awesome experience to, talk to other filmmakers and things like that. And I got a lot of really positive feedback on it, and I really decided that this is like the story that I wanted to tell. So that was back, I think, in March or April, and I've been making it ever since. And I've just been like rewriting, and then I brought my friend on, who's our producer, and she's really great. She's been doing a lot of really awesome work on the project, and we just, keep trudging along, and we'll be filming in October.
Very nice. What was the prize for winning that contest?
If I had won the contest, it would have been like an entire like filmmaking package. So it would have been like a professional camera package, professional sound package, which would like, there's like sound mixing at the end of the film to make it it's like Dolby sound, so like when you're
Hmm.
watching it in the theater, like is surround sound. And then I think it would have been like post-production color as well. So it would have been I think it was like 30 or $40,000 worth of stuff, which is insane.
So with that being said, you are now trying to fund this film by yourself, correct?
That is true, yes.
Is there a way that people could support you in this matter?
Yes, you can. So I have an Indiegogo campaign. Indiegogo is like a filmmaking platform for people to be able to support films. And I've been running it now for the last 11 days, and it goes on for another 13 days. So if you are interested in supporting, the Indiegogo is where you're able to do so. And what really great thing about the platform is there's different tiers. So, there's like the $15 tier, which you get like a social media shout out on our social media, Paper Boats the film. And then it goes all the way up to an executive producer credit. So, if you want to have a heavier say in the film, and you want to have an executive producing credit on a short film, that's also an option.
Very cool. And I don't know if you know this about me, Ethan, but I am a self-publishing author. That's my second side hustle. I love to write the books.
That's awesome.
Um, so I know how much that support goes.
Yeah.
I know how much $15 goes to helping out a cause.
Yeah.
Um, for me, like a person buying my book, I love to have the money, but I am much, this is not the way you say this, but I much more love uh that support from someone who's willing to spend their time and money investing in me. I see people buying my book as an investment in me.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
it's really awesome. I'm sorry, I didn't
yeah, no,
interrupt
go
you.
ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and yeah, and like every donation that I've received, I'm like so grateful for, because it means that like someone believes in my vision. And like, yeah, like it takes a lot to fund a project. You not only do you have to like, get like camera gear and lights and things like that, which some of my school provides some of that stuff, which is really awesome, but not everything. But also when you're building out a crew and you're going to film in the forest, you have to have a place to film, which costs money. And even paying not paying a crew, but paying for the food for the crew so they have something to eat, things like that all go into the budget so you can make a film successful. And that's really before you even, start filming again. It's all things that you need to just like survive while making the film. So
Last thing before you go, I want to play a quick game. It's called Overrated, Underrated, Appropriately Rated.
okay, okay,
Since you are the self-proclaimed film major who doesn't know film,
okay.
I'm gonna throw some of the biggest films in the game out there.
Yeah.
If you don't know them, tell me you don't know them. If
Okay.
you do know them, give me a overrated, underrated, appropriately rated.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
And you can explain if you want to explain your reasoning. If you don't, you don't have to.
Sounds good.
Titanic.
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say it's probably a little overrated.
A
It's a
little
good movie, but
overrated.
it's a little long.
A little long. I
Yeah.
heard it's as long as it took to sank the boat.
I think it's like a 3.5 hour movie. I don't know how long it took to the Titanic to sink, but it's like at least 3 hours and 15 minutes. Like it's
I
a
don't
very
know. I don't know if that's a true fact I heard, or if just like the internet being the internet. But I heard
yeah.
somewhere that James Cameron the
Yeah, yeah.
director on that? James Cameron designed it to be that long on purpose because it took the boat that long to sink.
That's crazy.
If
I
that's
did not know
true,
that.
it's amazing. If
Yeah,
that's
that's
not
brilliant.
true, it's an amazing lie.
Yeah.
Avatar, the blue people Avatar.
I would say that's definitely like appropriately rated. Like they're
Okay.
making so many more of them, but that I haven't seen anyone pass like the first one, but that first one was incredible.
I'm not gonna lie, man. The first one was so long, I sort of fell asleep on it. Not that
It's
I
another
didn't think it was
movie.
good. I
Yeah,
just I just
which is
sort of got
also another James Cameron movie.
well. Well, there's no thing about it was actually that long in the Avatar world, so I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
A personal favorite of mine is next, The Lion King.
Lion King, I think I don't know because like in my mind it's like rated perfectly, but I don't know like kids these days like that sounds like I'm old. Like I'm not that old, but
You're
you know what I
getting
mean?
there,
I
man.
don't know if
Don't
like
worry.
are kids watching The Lion King still because it's like one of the best Disney movies.
Listen, if parents are raising their kids right, they're watching The Lion King.
This is true. Yeah.
The Godfather.
I think that's a very appropriately rated. It's a damn good movie.
And last but not least, The Matrix.
I've never seen The Matrix.
Never seen The Matrix.
I've never seen The Matrix.
You got some homework.
Yeah.
We'll have to have you back on after we get Paper Boats funded. We'll have you
Yeah.
back on to do a follow-up and we'll ask you about The Matrix.
Yeah. I'll have watched it by then. I'll make sure of it.
I only put that in there because I know it was like very revolutionary for the time.
Yeah. I've heard about that. I don't know why I've not seen it. I guess that goes back to the film major who hasn't watched movies, but
Well, you're also like 20, what, 23?
21.
Yeah, so that movie came out before you were born, I think. So it's okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I think all those other movies came out before you were born too, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
So where can people learn more about Ethan Kauffman? Where can people learn more about Paper Boats? And if they're like, wow, this guy is the next thing in film, I want to say I signed up for him now and I'm riding this train now because I saw it on Think About It. Where can they do that?
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about me, you can follow me on Instagram, which is Ethan Kaufman underscore. I also have a website, ethankaufman.com. And if you want to learn more about Paper Boats, which is, the most pretty much all about me right now, you can follow Paper Boats the film on Instagram. And yeah, and the Indiegogo is where you can support the campaign. It's in the link in our bio. I can also send it over to you if you'd like to put it in the link for the video as well. But
It'll be in the description for this video.
there you go.
All the
So that's
links
how
will
you
be
can
there.
support. Yeah. So that's how you can support.
Ethan, thank you so much. I'm really hoping that in a couple weeks we can sit down again and maybe not a couple weeks, but maybe a couple months we can sit down again and talk about how production on this is going.
Yeah,
I
we
would love
shoot.
to do that.
Yeah, I would love that too. We shoot October 17th, 18th, and 19th. So I will
Okay.
become a person again after that.
Okay, cool. Let's check in October, November time.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good one and good luck with Paper Boats.
Thanks. It was great talking to you.